Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is escalating higher today, did hold all support levels, and I have now adjusted the relevant support area, and I will keep doing that as promised in the last update, that if we continue to see further upside, I will, when appropriate, adjust the micro support area. So this is our upper micro support. What does that mean? Well, it means that the price is going to climb higher as long as we are holding support. It's quite simple. It takes basically, we have to give the market the space here to dip into the support region and test it, but it wouldn't change the structure. The structure, the bullish structure, which could develop from here further, will only get affected negatively and will most likely break if we see a break below that upper micro support area, specifically the level now. Let me just double check that. Specifically the level, 65,740. So that's the key level that needs to hold. How is that measured? It is from the low point of the 10th of May to the current high. And the 50% retracement, if that level breaks, it's a break of an impulsive structure. So that doesn't mean it couldn't go any further, but it will reduce significantly the probabilities of it to doing so. Please be aware that at this stage, this could still be the B wave high, the white count, even though it's getting less likely because it broke above this first level, right? So remember a few days ago, we talked about this being the target range for wave C of B in the white count, which is the bearish count. I mean, bearish, within a bullish scenario, short-term bearish. But I did highlight to you, when we get into this white target zone, then of course it could rally further and morph into the yellow count, in which an overall wave 4 correction already completed. But we need to see that first, obviously. But I will basically just track support, and as long as we're holding that, there is no top in place. So therefore, I'm tracking both white counts and yellow counts. And for the yellow count, at some point, we need another 4-5 pattern, which could then send us into that 85 to 90K region. That's what we talked about. I'm going to switch to the daily chart in a minute. Then we talk about the next upside targets again. The price already moved today to around about 72K. Ideally, the third wave. So if we talk about the bullish count, then obviously this could send us to 85 to 90K, right? That's what we talked about. In this scenario, the third wave in yellow should reach 73,816 or higher before a fourth wave starts. And as I said, this fourth wave should hold the 50% fib level. Ideally, it doesn't start, however, until we have reached the 1.38 extension. And even then, the third wave could obviously go a little bit higher. What I will do now, I'm going to add the 1.618 extension level to the chart as well, because we know that third waves can extend. However, the price has now reached the next structural resistance area that I added in the previous video to the chart here. This is now another area the price needs to get above. At any point, we need to be ready for a potential pullback into the micro support zone, and a sustained break below 65,740 will indicate that a top of sorts is in place. Of course, then we need to look at what kind of structure it is and so on. But things are looking quite good at the moment in crypto. A lot of the coins that were in our trading area, support areas, are now turning around. Also, Bitcoin did hold all these support areas now in the last few days. And again, I cannot promise you that we test this area. At some point we should, but I would prefer, if the price, to maintain an overall bullish outlook directly as well, the price needs to ideally, as I said, in the third wave, get to the 1.38 extension, because anything lower than that, anything weaker than that, would rather be the white count. It's just that the third wave is not going to be viable until it gets to that 73,816 level. So yeah, now let's switch to the daily chart. I think the short-term support resistances are clear. They have been moved up today, but the overall structure of the chart hasn't changed. And this is here what we talked about in the previous video. We saw in the previous video the price break above this resistance area. And I highlighted the next resistance area is already here on the chart, and it just moved from one to the next. At the same time, we haven't broken above the next one yet. This is basically the next task for the bulls. Looking at the bigger picture, what is the overall upside target for wave 5? We talked about it. What we can do, we can measure waves 1 to 3, go to the low of the wave 4, which definitely it looks more and more likely that the low is in. In the last few days, I mentioned to you that the evidence is still thin that the low is in, but if we see a little bit more upside momentum, that evidence will build. The market turned around so far where it needed to in the trading area. And yeah, I mean, as you can see there, sort of 86K is sort of the next main target. There are different ways of measuring that, but 85, 86K is sort of the next larger overhead target area. Also mentioned to you that descending wedge out of which we broke and the RSI breakout in the last few days. And I also mentioned to you, and nobody should be surprised, really nobody should be surprised about any breakouts here. I highlighted to you that the next rally, when it starts, could trigger euphoria. And that is typically when we get into this euphoria stage. This is when FOMO will kick in. I mean, the wave structures suggest that. And this is also then the beginning of the end of, well, it begins the, euphoria begins the end of the bull market. So we're not in euphoria yet, but it will be part of that next rally. So it's going to be very interesting. And yeah, as I said only yesterday, it will be an interesting week. It is an interesting week already. I will keep you updated. So hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.